Hey, what's good, everybody? This is Carl from Sovereign Citizen Chronicles. Today, we're going to be in a courtroom of Michael R. O'Slavin out of Michigan State. This will be my first time doing one of his cases. He's going to be going up against a guy named Donald Lester. Donald Lester, he got some sovereign citizen tendencies. He doesn't go hard with it as we've seen in the past, but he's definitely got some sovereign citizen stuff going on. All right. Like I said, he got some hefty charges, but I'm going to be interested to see how Judge O'Slavin handles his courtroom. All right, so let's get to these six proceedings.
All right, Mr. Glazer, are you ready to proceed with Mr. Lester?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
All right, we're on the record in file 23-21516-FH, People versus Donald Raymond Lamont Lester. We are here today for a pretrial hearing in this case, and we are proceeding today by video conference. First, let me ask the attorneys to place their appearances on the record, beginning with Ms. Meir.
B.B. Meir on behalf of the people.
John Glazer on behalf of Mr. Lester, Your Honor.
All right, and Mr. Glazer, where do we stand with Mr. Lester's case today?
Your Honor, I'd ask to set it over for another pretrial. And I guess I'd like to address bond. I've never met Mr. Lester until today.
I want people to see they doing another trial.
This was handled by Mr. Murphy
They're waiting on my information.
in district court.
All right, sorry, we had some background noise happening. What was that you said, Mr. Glazer?
I'd like to set it for another pretrial. I think there was an exam, so we need to get the transcript ordered on that anyway. But I would also like to address bond. I haven't met Mr. Lester until today, Your Honor. This was handled by somebody else in district court.
All right, what is it you would like to say about bond?
Yeah, Your Honor, I guess I'd ask for a PR, but there's a 3 charges here: possession of meth and a couple R&Os, and it obviously there's a habitual on it. He looks like he's got some receiving and concealing, escape, and aggravated burglary. Those are quite a ways back. They're over 20 years ago. There was a small amount of methamphetamine here, and it would be helpful to me if he was out to so that I can meet him in my office to review this case with him once I get the transcript. The other thing is, Your Honor, the information doesn't list an address for him, but he has an address. He's living here in Adrian, and in fact, his I think it's his son is in his senior year of high school here.
All right, Ms. Meir, anything people would like to say?
Just, Your Honor, obviously, given his criminal history and the fact that he was bound over and a habitual 4th offender, I think a PR bond would be too low. I don't know exactly what his bond is set at. I guess maybe it could be reviewed, but I don't think a PR is appropriate, just given that. He was also, and it was testified to an exam, that he had actively resisted and was combative to the officers when they attempted to arrest him on the methamphetamine. He also did give it a fake name at first because he had 2 active failure to appear warrants out of Monroe, one out of Monroe and one out of will be our court from Bliss.
They were traffic tickets, Your Honor, and those got dismissed. Only got one that I'm dealing with now.
Yeah, that's what he got arrested for, was some outstanding traffic tickets, failure to appear, I think.
That's why I moved back to Adrian. Plus, it's my son's last year of high school.
All right, well, I appreciate it's your son's last year of high school, but a bond needs to be designed to ensure Mr. Lester's appearance at court. Given the information that the court has available to it about various factors, speak to that and some other things. So Mr. Lester currently does live here in Adrian and has a local address. Apparently some kind of tie to the community through his son. I'm a bit more concerned that he's charged in this case with 2 counts of resisting and obstructing. He does have in his past conviction in Ohio for escape, which speaks to.
If I might say something real fast.
Mr. Lester, please don't interrupt me. I think those speak to his willingness to comply and be the likelihood of coming back to court. So the bond is currently set in the amount of $20,000 cash or surety. I would agree with Ms. Muir at this point. I don't think a PR bond in this case is significant enough, is enough to satisfy me that Mr. Lester would continue to appear. I am willing to reduce that bond to a $5,000 cash or surety bond with a GPS tether. And I think under those circumstances, the court would be satisfied that Mr. Lester would appear for future court hearings. So that's what I'm willing to do with respect to bond. I will adjourn this out for another pretrial on November 1st at 8:15 a.m.
Mr. O'Shea, I have to meet, because I got a letter from him as well that I have to meet twice. I think it's twice a week. I got a letter.
I can't understand. I need you to sit closer to the microphone, Mr. Lester. I
I
can't
got a
hear you.
letter from Mr. Cross stating that I had to meet him twice a week if I made bond. That was another reason why.
I can't, Mr. Lester, I'm sorry, but the microphone's not picking up your voice and I can't understand what you're saying.
Hello, can you hear me now?
That's better, yes.
Okay, I got a letter from Mr. Darren Cross, and I was instructed to meet with him twice a week while out on bond. That's the reason why I asked for a signature bond. I have no problem with it. I can't afford it. I don't have it in cash right now to be able to make bond. So I'll be sitting here idle, and I'm just trying to get out of here so I can go ahead and finish going back to work and getting ready to get back to school.
All right, I appreciate that. I've made my decision on bond, Mr. Lester, and that I'm not going to change that decision at this point.
Thank you.
Next pretrial?
November 1st.
Thank you.
Your Honor, does the court order the transcript from the district court?
Does not appear that that has been ordered at this point, but we will do that.
You're going to order that? Okay.
All right, we are on the record in file 23-21516-FH, People versus Donald Raymond Lamont Lester. We are here today for a pretrial conference in this case, and we are proceeding today by video conference. First, let me ask the attorneys to place their appearance on the record, beginning with Mr. Bayonetto.
Alex Bayonetto for the people.
You are muted, Mr. Glazier.
John Glazier on behalf of Mr. Lester.
Mr. Glazier, where do we stand with Mr. Lester's case today?
Your Honor, at this point, I can't talk to Mr. Lester. He, when we try to talk, he just starts screaming and yelling at me and won't listen to anything I've got to say. There's been a plea bargain offered to him, but I can't even get a chance to get it into him. I'm looking back at my notes, and Mr. Murphy apparently had the same problem with him on September 21st. He said he was going to represent himself, and he ended up waiving it. And Mr. Murphy has notes that all he did is scream and yell at him, and he didn't like being trashed on the record by his client. If Mr. Lester doesn't want to listen to me, and I can't even get him to listen at all, Your Honor, all he wants to do is scream and yell. I told him I'd set it for trial. He didn't want to set it for trial. What he really wants to do is vent. Now, there are some notes that he may have some mental health issues, according to a family member. But if Mr. Lester doesn't want to talk to me, I don't know what to do other than just...
What did you just say? What did you just say? A family member did what?
Mr. Lester, please sit down and be quiet.
a family member called and say you may have some mental health issues, which may mean we need to evaluate you.
My family member couldn't have. There's nobody up here with me but me.
Phone
There's
call.
no one here but me. And if you have a name, please let me have it with a phone number, because I've been trying to call my family for the past 3 months, sir.
I'll
And
tell you,
on top
Jay,
of that, Mr. Salvatore, understand something, Mr.
your
O'Saver?
your
Let me say
sister,
something, please. Can I say
All right,
something?
both of you stop talking right now.
Okay, that's fine. I'm willing to listen, but this is getting ridiculous.
Mr. Lester, I said stop talking,
This-
continuing to
this is
talk.
how
If
it
you
is.
continue to
I'm
dis,
being-
Mr. Glazier, stop talking. That is not a difficult instruction,
Wow,
and I am not going to lose control of this proceeding.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Lester, I've muted your device. I instructed you to not talk 2 times, and you continue to talk. I can't hear what you're saying. You're on mute. Mr. Bayanetto, is there a plea offer in this case?
There is, Your Honor. Mr. Sneed extended a plea offer to Mr. Glazier of a plea to attempted possession of methamphetamine and the 2
All right, Mr. Bayanetto, I'm going to interrupt you for a moment. Mr. Lester, you unmuted your device. I am muting it again. If you unmute it, I'm going to hold you in contempt. I'm sorry, Mr. Bayanetto, what is the plea offer?
That's okay, Your Honor. The plea offer is attempted possession of methamphetamine and then the 2 R&Os as charged. I believe Mr. Sneed would also be dismissing the habitual offender notices as well. No habitual offender notices, and with an agreement to no MDOC time.
All right, so Mr. Glazier, are you asking to have Mr. Lester reviewed for competency and or criminal responsibility at this point?
I guess I'd still like to a chance to talk to him when, Your Honor, if we do that, it's going to take at least.
All right, I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Glazier, but I'm just trying to keep a record of what's happening. I thought Mr. Lester had left the room, but he's not. He's still here. So I'm sorry. Continue.
Those evaluations will take at least 90 days to 120 days. The prosecutor further indicated on this, that we could address bond, which I have set for this afternoon, but the prosecutor had indicated he'd have no objection to a PR bond if we get this matter settled. I need to speak with Mr. Lester, but see if he can calmly talk about this plea bargain with me.
Mr. Lester, I'm going to send a request to unmute your device. Is there an officer that's there with Mr. Lester that can unmute that device at the jail, please? Mr. Lester is apparently talking to someone. I cannot see who that is that he's talking to. Is there an officer at the jail with Mr. Lester?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, that's it.
All right, thank you for unmuting that device. Mr. Lester, did you hear the plea offer that's been made by the prosecutor?
I don't even understand what that means. What are you talking about as far as that goes? Is he
I'm asking,
Can I finish?
I'm asking you whether you heard it or not.
Did I what?
Did you hear the plea offer made by the prosecutor?
Kinda. All I know is something about a no habitual, attempted
All right.
this, that, and the third. I don't understand what that means as far as that goes. What is he offering? No jail time, probation?
Do you want to talk to Mr. Glazier to get an understanding? He can explain
I'm trying
that.
to, man. I'm trying to. I haven't talked to this man in 30 days. 30 days, Your Honor.
Mr. Glazier just said he would like to talk to you to explain that offer to you, but you need to be able to sit and listen to what he says. Do you want to do that?
Being railroaded. What am I supposed to do? Yeah, I'm willing to do that.
You're not being railroaded. I'm asking you whether you want.
Can I talk to Mr. Glazier?
All right, Mr. Lester, if you're not going to participate and answer my questions, I'm just going to set this for another.
Yes, Your Honor. How many times do I got to say it? Let me talk to Mr. Glazier, please.
Okay, thank you. That's the first time you've said that. So I will set up a breakout session for you with Mr. Glazier right now so that he can explain the plea offer to you.
Ernie, man. Oh.
We have Mr. Glazier and Mr. Lester back from the breakout session. Mr. Glazier, where do we stand with Mr. Lester's case at the moment?
I don't want him no longer represent me, sir. Can we get somebody else, please? He's trying to, and he belittled me and wrote notes, him and Mr. Murphy. I would like to get somebody else, please.
Mr. Lester, I only have the ability to appoint the public defender's office, so
Okay, but
I have done that.
not out of their office.
Mr. Lester, stop interrupting me. I'm trying to explain to you that I only have the ability to appoint the public defender's office. I've done that. We've been through 2 attorneys now that you have not liked. You don't have the ability to pick your public defender. One has been assigned to you. If the public defender's office chooses to make a reassignment, that's their business, but I cannot make them do that.
Okay, that's fine, but I still don't want him to no longer represent you, Mr. O'Saber. I want you to see what's going on for yourself before I make any decisions. That way you see it for yourself, Your Honor. I'm not trying to sit up here and go back and forth with Mr. Glazier because there's certain things that I've asked him to do that he won't do. One being that there's prior footage camera that he won't even subpoena, for one. And then on top of that, it started on August 2nd, but I was arrested August 4th. So they harassed me for 3 days. He also was supposed to get the transcripts that he does not have that I had to send off for myself. He hasn't came down here to talk to me. Every time that he says he does, this wind up happening. This is why I'm upset, Your Honor. It's because I'm not being able to talk to anyone. I don't talk to my sister because he just told me the fact that he talked to her that I have mental health issues. I have not talked to my sister since 2015 when my mother passed away because she put me in jail behind some BS in the first place. I had to hitchhike back home to Akron, Ohio, just to go to her funeral. So we don't talk. And Mr. Glazier continues to sit up there and belittle me and slander my name to you, him and Mr. Murphy taking notes when they know what they're doing. That's a conflict of interest. That means they're talking behind my back. There's no way this is going to work between me and him. He's sitting there.
Mr. Lester, I'm just going to interrupt you because I want to correct one point.
Okay.
Mr. Glazier has not said anything to me that has not occurred on the record about you or about your case. And so to the extent that you've just said that Mr. Glazier is somehow communicating with me about you and
I said Mr. Murphy,
that is
sir.
incorrect. That is false, sir.
I said Mr. Murphy, not Mr. You. I never said
the same goes for Mr. Murphy. All
yes,
right?
he did.
Neither
He
of
just
them
sat there and told you that.
Mr. Lester, do not interrupt me.
Wow. Lying on me, man. That's
my obligation. My obligation in these hearings is to create a record that can be. Do not unmute that microphone, Mr. Lester. Can you hear me? Shake your head yes if you can hear me. I need to make a record of these proceedings. That cannot be done when you are talking over me when I'm trying to explain something to you. It is disruptive to these proceedings and makes it impossible to create a record. And all this is doing is dragging things out and making it take longer. So I'm going to unmute your device once again. And I do not want you to interrupt me when I'm talking. And I want you to answer my questions directly when I ask them. Do you understand that? All right, go ahead and unmute the device. If you need help, you can ask the officer that's with you to unmute that device.
Guys, I don't trust none of y'all. I swear to God.
All right, Mr.
I don't trust none of y'all.
Mr. Lester, all right, at this point, I don't think Mr. Lester is in a position to be able to continue this hearing. So I'm going to adjourn this hearing to next week, November 8th at 8:15.
Man, I don't want him as an attorney. I'm sorry.
All right, if we can address who represents you next.
I don't
week.
want him as an attorney, man. Y'all railroad me, man. This is exactly why the blacks don't trust the justice system. Exactly why. That man harassed me for 3 days and then my period up and I'm being accused of doing something. This is crazy. This is crazy. I just want my phone number. I want to talk to my daughter.
You call and ask for.
Crazy, man. I can't take this. I'm sick of them doing me like this. Lying on me.
All right, let me first ask the attorneys to place their appearance on the record in the People versus Lester case, beginning with Ms. McClure.
BB McClure on behalf of the people.
Yeah, good morning, Michael Dagger Margosian for Mr. Lester.
All right, and Mr. Dagger Margosian, where do we stand with Mr. Lester's case today?
Your Honor, I'm going to ask the court to do two things. I'm going to address bond in a moment, but on the case itself, in reviewing it, it appears as though there was a preliminary exam. We still need that transcript. In speaking with Mr. Lester, my understanding is that there probably will be some evidentiary issues that I want the court to weigh the decision. But ultimately, this case probably will be litigated. Mr. Lester has been in jail since the date of this incident, which is over 4 months at this point. Obviously, pre-trial, obviously before conviction and presumption of innocence does apply. I think it would be inappropriate for him to have to remain in jail while fighting this case. And this is the count one is a non-assaultive charge. And in reviewing the case and watching the video, counts 2 and 3, the R&Os are suspect at best, I would put it at this point. So I'm asking the court to change Mr. Lester's bond to a PR to allow him to have better communication with me and be on the outside of jail while fighting his case.
All right, Ms. Meir, anything you would like to say with respect to the issue of bond?
Judge, we did just have a bond review. And we did reduce the bond to $5,000, cash assurity with the GPS tether. There was a prelim in this case. I think with it being bound over, there wasn't anything to suggest that there was anything to suggest that Mr. Lester wouldn't be convicted of these charges. And that obviously can be considered here at in a bond review. I don't think another review of bond or another reduction of bond is appropriate in this case.
Your Honor, may I just respond briefly?
Go ahead.
The 5,000, it might as well be 5 million. I mean, he doesn't have any money to post at this point. And I disagree with Ms. Meir to the convictions. And if that is, I mean, yes, that is a factor of bond, but it's minimal at best. Obviously, the two big factors that a court takes into account is safety to community and appearance to court. And I don't have any indication that those are implicated here.
Great. Well, one concern I have is that the information lists his address as unknown. So where would he be living?
1121 Division Street.
All
I
right.
just was in contact with a friend of mine. She's been writing. Her name is Danielle Heath. And my son is here in this town. This is his last year of high school, Mr. O'Saber. He goes to Adrian High School. His last name is Dante. His first name is Dante. His last name is Lester. This is his last year. No.
All right. So what I'll say, Mr. Dagger Margosian, is I am willing to consider it, but not simply based on what I have in terms of argument here today. So if you want to schedule a hearing and have some more developed information that goes through the actual bond factors, I appreciate that he challenges that he doesn't think he's going to be convicted. But at this point, I don't have anything to analyze, anything in front of me to analyze with respect to that issue in front of that. I don't have solid information about where he'd be living, who he'd be living with, and all of the other bond factors that I would need to consider to make a thorough determination about this. So I'm going to say I'm going to deny your request for now, but I am willing to consider it if we have again more developed information that addresses more of the relevant bond factors.
I'll file a motion to the court.
All right.
Speak with you whenever you get a chance after this too. Whenever you get a chance, it don't matter whatever day you can pick. Because this is an unsigned warrant right here in front of my face right here. Unsigned by police officer.
All right. Let the record reflect I've muted Mr. Lester's device. I will adjourn this to January 24th at 8:15. Mr. Dagger Margosian, if you would like to schedule your bond hearing before that, you're welcome to schedule it at any time that we have available.
I'll do that, Your Honor. Thank you.
What's the next pretrial judge? I'm sorry.
January 24th at 8:15 a.m. Mr. Dagger Margosian, do you know if the transcript has been ordered?
I reflect that it has, but I guess we should check the court file. I believe it was ordered at the October pretrial.
Yeah, it should have been, Your Honor. I'm still going through the notes on the case, but if it hasn't, obviously we'll put the order in, but it should have been.
All right, I'll review the file. If I can't determine that it's been ordered, I'll order it, and we'll get that as quickly as we can. All right, anything else we need to address today, Ms. McClure or Mr. Dagger Margosian?
Your Honor, nothing on the file, but I'm just wondering if I can just pop into a breakout room with Mr. Lester just very briefly.
Yeah, give me a second. All right, Mr. Lester, I've sent you a request to unmute your device. If you will just.
I got it, man. Let me talk to my daughter.
All right, we are on the record in file 23-21516-FH, People versus Donald Raymond Lamont Lester. We are here today for a pretrial hearing in this case, and we are proceeding today by video conference and also in person. We are, or first let me ask the attorneys to place their appearance on the record, beginning with Ms. McClure.
B.B. McClure, on behalf of the people.
Your Honor, Michael Dagger Margosian for Mr. Lester.
All right, and Mr. Dagger Margosian, where do we stand with Mr. Lester's case today?
Your Honor, at this point, I don't, there's a breakdown of attorney-client relationship. I can't move forward and represent Mr. Lester. I've, without getting into the details, obviously those are privileged, but it's clear that Mr. Lester either needs to move forward pro se, and I can certainly be on standby, or I can conflict this out, but our office is not going to be able to represent Mr. Lester.
Yeah, I would like the ACLU to pour. I poured everything to the ACLU. They already have my file and the Civil Rights Commission.
Mr. Lester, I'm sorry, but the microphone at the jail is really bad. There's a bad echo there.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, so I can hear you. The issue is if you could talk not quite so loudly, because it's an echo in the room that causes the problem.
I'm in the ACLU and the Civil Rights Commission already are on notice. You can move my file to those. I have sent them my complaints. I've also got the failure to appear, what I was picked up for in the first place, was dismissed. And Mr. Margosian is trying to move forward with a trial, and I'm not feeling that. I want to move for an immediate dismissal because I was harassed for 3 days, and they already have wind of this. There should be they should be asking for the body cams from August 2nd, as well as the 4th. I still haven't went over any evidence. So the Civil Rights Commission has my paperwork, and well, my affidavits rather, and the ACLU is on standby as well. I just rather for my whole file to go to them and let them represent them, let them take a look at what's going on. I don't have any transcripts. I haven't talked to Mr. Margosian since then. I had to have the jail email the courts for a court date because I've been sitting here for so long. Like I said, the failure to appear got dismissed. That's what I was picked up for originally.
Okay, so Mr. Lester, you've been charged with possession of methamphetamine and 2 counts of assaulting, resisting, obstructing a police officer. You have previously been represented by the public defender's office, and they are requesting to withdraw as your attorney at this point. If that were to happen, another attorney would be assigned to you.
I just said the ACLU. I don't know what part of that nobody understands, but the ACLU is on standby as well as the Civil Rights Commission. I said it again. You can forward that all over there to them, and they'll take the case without no money. You know it like
all right.
I know it.
So, Mr. Lester, that is not an option that I have to send this case over to the ACLU. If you want the ACLU,
I do though, because I do though. So let's get that understood. Now I have that opportunity to do that, and I'm requesting that on record.
Okay, you can request that, but the court is not in a position to do that. If you want someone else to represent,
am, sir. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not simple as you just putting the case together and sending it to them. It's not even you. Mr. Margosian can do it. It's not even your office that needs to do it.
Mr. Lester, please don't interrupt me when I'm talking to you.
Right. Here we go.
All right. Right now, the public defender's office represents you.
No, they don't. He just said he didn't want to represent me.
All right, Mr. Lester is off camera. I don't know whether he's still in the room.
I'm standing right here. I can hear every word. I'm here as a third-party intervener and a special appearance.
All right, Mr. Lester, are you in agreement with Mr. Dagger Margosian's request to withdraw from your case?
That's on him. Like I said before, I wanted to go to the ACLU or the Civil Rights Commission. I'm going to say it again for the court of record. They are on standby. They already know about all of this. I shouldn't have never been picked up in the first place. I was harassed for 3 days. 3 days. And you have the transcripts right there in front of you when the officers admitted that they just wanted me. And it's in the police report.
Mr. Lester, I need a yes or no answer to the question of whether you were.
Again, that's on him.
Mr. Lester, I've muted your device, Mr. Lester, because you are being disruptive and you are not allowing this court process to continue. I'm going to give this one more opportunity. I'm going to unmute your device. I'm going to ask you the question. If you don't answer, or if you continue with this disruptive behavior, I am going to hold you in contempt and sentence you to 93 days in jail.
Very unprofessional.
Mr. Lester, are you in agreement or are you not in agreement with Mr. Dagger Margosian's request to withdraw as your attorney?
Well, if you please, yeah, I'm in agreement. If you please send that file over to the ACLU, please. I'm in agreement with that. Mr. Margosian, are you in agreement with you send that over to the ACLU, please?
Can I get like a contact information? I mean, I don't just send a file to
You
the
know,
ACLU.
okay, yeah, but you know where the ACLU office is. I can get that to you. Yes, no problem. We can go off screen and I can get that to you. I have it right here in front of me. No problem. No problem.
And if that for whatever reason, I mean, that's outside the norm of
Man,
what
I'm not, it's as simple as saying my rights have been violated. You know that. We're not gonna keep going back and forth. I'm not doing it.
All right.
I'm tired of this.
Mr. Lester, please stop. So Mr. Lester has consented to Mr. Dagger Margosian withdrawing as his attorney. If there's some arrangement for Mr. Dagger Margosian to send information to the ACLU, that is, the court has no control over whether he is going to do that, and the court has no authority to require him to do that.
And Your Honor,
what the court is required to do under this process is to provide for the appointment of a special public defender. If Mr. Lester can get the ACLU to represent him, then you need to make arrangements to do that. And if there's an appearance filed by the ACLU, then they are welcome to represent him. But as it stands now, he is without attorney, and the court will make the appropriate arrangements to have a special public defender appointed. If the ACLU wants to substitute in place of that person, they are welcome to do so.
Yeah. I also like for a PR bond. I've been sitting here almost 180 days. My bond is ridiculous. My family's not going to be able to pay that.
All right, I will adjourn this case to February 7th.
I'm requesting a bond, please, for the court of record.
Mr. Lester, let me do one thing at a time. Your constant interrupting me.
I'm just tired, man. I'm tired. Mr.
Stop interrupting me, Mr. Lester.
Damn. How did it, man?
Pretrial is adjourned to February 7th at 8:15 a.m. Mr. Lester has made a request for a personal recognizance bond. Court has addressed the issue of bond with Mr. Lester numerous times previously. My decision on bond and reasons for it at this point have not changed.
Supposed to be professional.
Mr. Lester currently has a
Too expensive, sir. Too expensive.
Mr. Lester currently has a $5,000 cash or surety bond in this case, and that is appropriate, in my opinion, to assure his further appearances at this court. And so I'm going to deny the request for a personal recognizance bond.
That's crazy. Because I ain't white. Mr. Margosian.
Mr. Lester. All right, you know what, Mr. Lester, stop. No. I muted your device, Mr. Lester. You have been warned repeatedly by me in this hearing as well as in other hearings. You are in contempt of this court as a result of your behavior here today. It's a sentence of the court that you served 93 days in the Lenawee County Jail. There's no further information that the court needs to find the contempt. It was direct and in the presence of the court and after being warned numerous times. So Mr. Lester, you can let the officer that's with you know that you are done with court for today. I will put the device in the waiting room until you are gone. Okay, Ms. Hennigan, are you ready to proceed with Mr. Lester?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay. We are on record in file 23-21516-FH, People versus Donald Raymond Lamont Lester. We are here today for a pretrial hearing in this case, and we're proceeding today by video conference. First, let me ask the attorneys to place their appearances on the record, beginning with Ms. McClure.
PB McClure on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tamiris Hennigan on behalf of Donald Lamont Lester, who also goes by the name Damiano Fain.
I'm sorry, what was that second name?
Damiano, Domiano. Last name Fain, F as in Frank, AIN.
All right. Okay, so where do we stand with this case today, Ms. Hennigan?
Your Honor, I did have opportunity to meet with my client just this past week. This case has been reassigned to me, as the court is aware, and we are working well together. But I do need to set this out. Well, actually, I think we can just schedule it for trial, and then also, Your Honor, my client has asked me for two things this morning. One, that I make his wishes known, his request known, that he is requesting that the court set aside the contempt that he was previously sentenced on January 24th. Two, that he would like an opportunity to speak with the court, and he understands that he needs to do that within boundaries and guidelines, and be respectful in speaking with the court and take turns. And so I told him that I would ask the court to give him an opportunity to speak to the court, and he has assured me that if at any time I instruct him that he needs to stop conversating, that he will follow my lead, Your Honor.
All right, let me first ask Ms. McClure, is there anything we need to address from people's side at this point?
Just that I wanted to place the offer on the record because I know Ms. Hennigan just inherited the case and we weren't really successful in doing that before. So at this time, the offer as stands is an attempt possession of meth and an RNO. We would agree to no habituals and no MDOC if he pleads to those counts.
Thank you, Ms.
As it stands right now, as current, he is a habitual fourth, and his guidelines are 46 to 120 in the MDOC.
Thank you, Ms. McClure.
Okay, and so if we get to a trial, how many days do we need for that?
Probably just one.
I was gonna say two, Ms. McClure, just a caution, but it's up to you.
Maybe a Wednesday plus another day, like a day and a half.
Yes, that sounds great.
All right, so I'm going to set it for a trial then, just so we have a date to move forward one way or the other. Ms. Clark, can you give us a 2-day jury trial date, please?
June 20th at 9 a.m. and June 21st at 9 a.m.
I'm available both of those days.
Mr. Sneed appears to be available then too. Yeah.
Okay, so let's set a pretrial then for June 12th. At 8:15. Obviously, if there's some resolution that gets reached in the meantime and you want to get into court before that, we'll do what we can to accommodate you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. So then, Mr. Lester, what is it that you would like to say?
Every time I try to say something, I was getting cut off. And not to be disrespectful, but it seemed like my Constitution and my civil rights are just being ran through. And it seemed like when I was trying to intervene to try to catch myself to make sure that I was being heard, it seemed like if I didn't say something at that time, I wasn't going to be heard. That's just any conversation between two men. That's usually how it goes. No disrespect to your craft, your jurist, or anything to that nature, but I just wanted to make sure that I was being heard for the court of record, because it seemed like anytime I went to say anything else, I was being cut off. It started all the way down from Mr. Morgan, and I still feel like that my back is against the wall over some driving tickets. I've addressed those so many times that's what I was arrested for, and it's just like I'm not being heard. I'm not being heard, and I'm looking to you for some type of guidance, but then it seems like I'm being like double teamed from you and the prosecutor's office. I'm being held for something that I did over 30 years ago, 20 years ago. I haven't been in any trouble. I don't like being in this. I don't like it at all. I can't stand it. I'm around kids now. I can't stand how they look at this. I hate every bit of it. And I just got assaulted yesterday by 3 of them. And to make it so bad, they put us all back in the same block, and I got assaulted in the hole. I don't get this. I have no patience for this anymore. And as far as the habitual go, well, you already know that, as far as that goes, the language from Michigan and Ohio is totally different. Totally different. And I always thought that had to be a pattern, and I don't have a pattern. This was something that happened in 91. The last time I got in any kind of trouble was in 2000. That's over 23 years ago. And under Michigan's rules, I just read it just not too long ago, that they had an automatic expungement after 10 years. So I'm still trying to figure out why I'm being hit with these habituals like I'm some type of, I stay in trouble all the time. I've done more in this community than anybody has ever been, that I've ever done anywhere else. I'm helping at shelters. I'm doing what I can. I helped at the women's shelters. It's not like I'm just sitting around and thumbing around getting in trouble. I'm not like that. I don't like trouble. I'm trying to help people. I'm not Jesus or anybody trying to save anybody, but I'm trying to be mindful of my fellow human being. That's all I'm trying to do. But I'm tired, man. I've lost everything in the past 6 months. It feels good to say that I'm a government contractor after coming where I come from, because I'm not from here. And I was being told by Ohio that I need to come take care of this. But I didn't want to come in that courtroom without me having some type of foundation to establish myself. I wasn't trying to duck these tickets. And that's what they're trying to make it seem like. And they're trying to make it seem like I was getting in trouble on top of it. And I wasn't. I was assaulted by 2 of the police officers. My finger was busted wide back open. I was stabbed. And that officer knew prior to that. This was what they all ensuing. And nobody seems like they even care. I've been asking for the August 2nd body cams, and I'm not getting anywhere so you can see it for yourself.
Okay.
I am not a troublemaker.
Mr. Fain, wrap it up for me, okay? So that the judge can move on and I can make.
Get that part up. I'm just hurt by
you.
Feelings, man. It hurts me as a human being to see somebody treat me like this. I don't treat people like this.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor, for giving him an opportunity to speak to the court. I'm looking into these things that Mr. Fain is concerned about, and I will be going back over to meet with him to discuss it further. I just wanted him to have a chance today to establish a little trust in the court that you will hear him when he works within the boundaries and the court rules that are established.
All right, I have previously stated in other court hearings my reasons and rationales for the decisions that I've made in this case, and I would stand on those. So we can conclude the pretrial in this matter. Mr. Lester, you can let the officer that's with you know that you are done with court for today.
I'm gonna do a breakout session before I go with Mrs. Hannigan before I go. I need to talk to her real fast. Because I'm still, I ain't got no
Your Honor,
choice.
is the court able to accommodate that? If not, I can go over and see him.
Yeah, I can't do that briefly.
Thank you.
I didn't hear what he said. I can barely hear
He's
you.
gonna do the breakout. Hang on, hon. He's gonna do the breakout. Just hold tight. He's gonna put us in a room together.
Do this.
People of the State of Michigan versus Donald Raymond Laurent Lester. We are here today for a final pretrial conference in this case ahead of a trial scheduled for June 20th and 21st. We are proceeding today partially in person and partially by video conference. First, let me have the attorneys place their appearances on the record, beginning with Ms. McClure.
E.B. McClure filling in for prosecutor of record Isaac Sneed.
Samara Hennigan on behalf of Donald Lester.
All right, and Mr. Lester, I believe, is in the jail Zoom 2 device. Mr. Lester, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, so I don't know what's going on with the camera. We can't see you. It looks to be
I can
shooting
see you.
almost. I'm saying that we can't see you, Mr. Lester. So Ms. Hennigan, where do we stand? Are we ready to proceed to trial on June 20th?
Thank you, Your Honor. I met with my client yesterday and did make the final offer to him with regard to plea agreements. My client has declined to accept the plea that was offered by prosecution. I also was informed by my client that he has filed a few motions. I guess you would say pro se. I have not seen those motions myself, but he says he mailed them to the court. He does have many objections to the proceedings. That being said, the next step that would be appropriate with regard to our legal procedures would be to go forward with trial. I am prepared to do that, though I do believe that my client will object to that, Your Honor. So I do want to make sure that I represent his wishes as well, while I still inform the court of whether or not I'm ready to proceed. So I will be ready to proceed for trial next week. That being said, my client does not want to go to trial as he feels that the court doesn't have jurisdiction over him on this matter in order for us to move to trial. And he was very upset. I would add, just for the record, for his for appellate purposes for him, that he was upset that I agreed to a trial schedule at a past hearing. And I did try to explain to him that that's just a procedure, that the court is on timeframes according to statute, and that at some point we do have to set a trial schedule, even though it was my intent to continue to try to negotiate this case for him along the way.
All right, to the extent that there's any objection based on court's jurisdiction,
I can't hear you. Can you speak up, please?
To the extent that there's any objection to proceeding to trial based on the court's jurisdiction, I would deny that, as the court does have jurisdiction over this case. It is a felony case involving an alleged felony which is alleged to have occurred within Lenawee County, state of Michigan. This is the circuit court for the Lenawee County, state of Michigan, and therefore jurisdiction is appropriate. Ms. McClure, is there anything we need to address from the people's side?
The people have not received any motions that have been referenced, but as far as I know, we are prepared to proceed to trial next week as well.
Right.
All right, so do we have proposed jury instructions and voir dire questions yet?
We do not, and I spoke with Mr. Sneed yesterday, but I'm certain that we can agree upon those within the next day or so.
I see some in our file, so maybe he's drafted them and just not.
Yes, he was working on them.
Okay, so I'll need those by the end of the week so that we have an adequate amount of time to get prepared
Right.
for trial.
I would also like to intervene here real quick, but that being said, I was the motion is just not for the jurisdiction, it's also for personal jurisdiction and subject matter jurisdiction. I had the right to a resisting unlawful arrest, and it's not being addressed. The Supreme Court ruling on that, I just read that not too long ago, and they arrested me for an old traffic ticket. Is where it started at. They're trying to dodge the point of where they harassed me for 3 days before they arrested. And as far as this possession situation go, I was informed yesterday by my attorney, who I haven't talked to since March, that I was looking at 14 years. Under your court, Michigan rules that after 10 years, under a lower felony, after 10 years, it's automatically expunged. So I'm trying to figure out how am I being charged with a habitual criminal. And also, I would like to get that in writing that you said that you have jurisdiction over this case, but not the said person. And that's all in the motions that I sent over to the clerk's office. I also have them all notarized. I also have copies of everything that I sent over there. So there should be somewhere in y'all file that y'all should have it.
Your Honor, I did.
And personal. And like I said, I haven't talked to this woman since March. She told me that I was going to be released out for bond, and I haven't heard anything from her since then. I wrote her a letter. The first time I seen this woman in about 2 or 3 months, first time was yesterday. And she doesn't represent the said name anyway. I've talked to her about that situation too. Somebody's not being truthful here. And I've been sitting here almost 10 months without a bond or even so much as calling my witnesses. She's never asked me anything. So my due process is being violated. Also, I'm sitting in here on an unsigned warrant. Unsigned. A probable cause warrant. They trying to make it look like they arrested me for those charges, and it's not what it was for. That's not what it was for. I was arrested for driving on a suspended license from back in 2016. That case got dismissed.
Your Honor, I did inform him
He's not
yesterday.
addressing none of those issues, Your Honor. Period.
Mr. Lester, I need you to stop interrupting people, okay? What is it that you wanted to say?
I did inform him yesterday that the charges he was facing could, that it's up to 14 years because there's consecutive sentencing available on those charges. He has a felony that is up to 10 years and then 2 R&Os, which can be sentenced consecutively if that were requested and or if the court were to do it. And I informed him of that at the time that I was telling him about the plea agreement that would allow him to be released today. So he is correct in that I did inform him of that, but it's not because of the habitual offender notice. And he asked me about that yesterday, and I reiterated again yesterday that that is not why. That is not why he's facing that amount of time. It was simply me telling him worst case scenario in this matter.
All right, so to the extent that personal jurisdiction issue has been raised in addition to subject matter jurisdiction, and again, deny any request on those bases because the court, again, has personal jurisdiction over Mr. Lester, who is a human being located in Lenawee County, Michigan, and alleged to have commit a felony crime in Lenawee County, Michigan.
How did I commit a violent crime?
With respect to the argument that Mr. Lester made regarding the right to resist an unlawful arrest, that's why the court is having a trial. One of the elements that the prosecutor needs to prove in a resisting and obstructing case is that the officers were on duty, acting lawfully, and made a lawful arrest that Mr. Lester resisted. So that's the purpose of the trial. with respect to any issue about expunged convictions. We're not even to that point yet. The habitual offender issue comes into play only after a conviction has entered, and then the court has to determine whether the convictions listed in the habitual offender notice in fact happen and can appropriately be used under the statute for the sentencing enhancements that have been notified in the information. And so
Okay. So
Yeah,
whenever you get done, I'd like to address the issue too, please.
all right, I'm gonna mute Mr. Lester because I can't have people talking over me while I'm trying to create a record. All right, so then we are ready to proceed to trial on June 20th. Again, I'd like to have the voir dire questions and jury instructions ready or to the court by the end of the week so that we can have those ready to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah. Before we go, and I address
Ms. McClure, can I just understand from you what that final offer you made on this case, or what the final offer the prosecution made on this case was?
Yes. It would be.
Ms. McClure, I actually have a copy that I could pass to the court too, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just take a second. It's an added count for possession of meth in a park, which is a 2-year offense. And we were offering credit for time served, which is approximately 10 months. And we have no objection to a PR bond at the time the plea is taken.
Ms. McClure, could I just add that Mr. Sneed did inform me that you had authority to do fines and cost only on this as well? Would that be accurate?
I think that would be part of the credit for time served.
Thank you.
So the prosecution has made an offer to resolve the case if Mr. Lester were willing to plead guilty to possession of methamphetamine in a park. That's a 2-year maximum possible penalty, but the prosecution has also agreed to credit for time served and or fines and costs and a personal recognizance bond release until the date of the sentencing. Is that all accurate, Ms. McClure?
what is that? That
Yes.
is crazy.
Yes,
All
that's
right.
accurate, Your Honor.
And Mr. Lester is not interested in agreeing to that plea. Is that correct?
It's my understanding, but it seems that he would like to say something about it, Your Honor, so I prefer that he answer that question himself.
I would like to say something because of the fact that you keep trying to let me out on a PR bond and you want me to come back to court for sentencing, but you won't let me out to try to get my witnesses and gather the evidence that I need to be able to present it at trial. I haven't even went over this one. I haven't even went over any kind of defense with this woman. I am being prosecuted and persecuted by her and a prosecutor. And it's obvious. It's very obvious. It stands out. I haven't talked to this lady since March. And when I did, she came in there and coerced me into trying to keep her on my case.
All right, so Mr. Lester, that wasn't really responsive to the question that was asked. The question you're being asked
I don't know
right
nothing
now.
about that. I told her what it was then, and
Mr. Lester,
you keep trying to cut me off.
well, that's because you won't let me create the
Right.
record and do my job. So I'm
I'm
trying
trying to do my job. You're not the one sitting in jail, sir.
All right, so Miss
Your Honor, would
All
you
right,
please
so-
mute my client? I don't want him to.
record
Find
should
yourself into
reflect that. The record should reflect that Mr. Lester had, I'm sorry, so. Mr. Lester, the question I'm asking and that I need an answer to is you've heard the offer that I've indicated the prosecution has made to you to resolve the case. Do you or do you not want to?
No, I'm not, because they had no business arresting me, Your Honor. And at all, I wasn't bothering anybody.
A simple no is fine. That's all I needed. All I needed was no.
Quit talking to me like I'm a kid.
The answer is no, so we will proceed to trial next week. I don't think there's anything else we need to address this morning. So Mr.
Bond.
Lester,
I need a
let the
bond.
officer know that you are done with court.
See what I'm saying?
All right, so that's the end of the proceedings. Donald Lester, emotional roller coaster. And I guess some of it was justified. Wanted to see his daughter, wanted to try to, make bond. But it's pretty much the same for anybody. Anybody that's incarcerated, obviously, they want to be able to see their family and be able to make bond and get out and then fight their case, while they're out on the street. All right. Judge O'Slavin, I believe he handled it very well. Handled his courtroom very well, and hopefully I'll be bringing you some more of his proceedings. As far as I know, uh, Donald Lester was sentenced. He did accept a plea. Um, I'm not sure if it was his first lawyer, Mr. Glacier, that set up that plea, or the second lawyer. Obviously, he didn't, he wasn't happy with his first attorney, but yeah, he did accept the plea. I believe he's not incarcerated at this moment, and he got some court costs he has to pay. All right, but I'll definitely try to bring you those cases if I can. But either way, I just want to thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Also, hit that notification bell so you get notified when I upload more videos. Also, I want to give a shout out to Sovereign Citizens Hall of Fame for giving me access or putting me on to these 6 proceedings. And I'll have the link to his channel down in the description below. All right, on that note, this is Sovereign Citizen Chronicles. I catch you on the next video. God bless. Peace.